guys, so today I'm going to do a highly requested video. Even though I think I've done 2 prior, I'm going to do kind of an updated one, and instead of being like, go back and check my prior tattoo and piercing ones for information about the tattoos I already have, I'm just going to quickly go over them. I'm just going to include it into this one and make it easier for you guys. So I guess we'll start out with my tattoos, because I'm not going to go very in-depth about them, because you can't really talk very much about a tattoo. The first one that I got is the one that's on my hip, and I'll insert a picture now. So that one I got in memory of my grandpa after he passed away from cancer. So it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at it. It's the sparrow carrying the Italian flag. He was Italian, and it's just, he was a really big part of my life. So that was my first tattoo I got, and I got that when I was 18. So my second tattoo is the tattoo that's on my foot. I will insert a picture now. And that one is just a hibiscus with a ladybug. I really like the flower hibiscus, first of all, and my mom and another lady that was in my life for a while called me Ladybug for a really long time, so I got that tattooed on my foot. So my last tattoo that I've gotten has been the one on my wrist. And it is actually a cross that I found on Tumblr that I really liked, and I took it to a guy and let him do it at his house. It was very painful. It took like 3 sessions because I think he had bad ink, so my body kept rejecting the ink, but I really like the way that it turned out, and I'm happy with it, and that one was free. The tattoo on my foot and my hip were both $140, and I got them done by the same shop. So since I came back, they gave me basically a deal. Since I only paid $140 for my first one, they let me have my foot tattoo, which is about the same size as my hip tattoo, for $140 also. So now I'm going to go into my piercings that I have had and or have. So my first piercings that I have are my front piercings, and I got these when I was an infant. I got them when I was really small, so I don't remember the pain level. I got my second holes done second, and I got those done when I was about 16, and they really didn't hurt at all. Ears, like down here, I don't think hurt at all. It's insane. They're so simple to do. Then the piercing that I got after that was my nose, and I've had my nose pierced 3 times. The first time I had my nose pierced was when I turned 18. I went the night of my birthday and got it done because I had been wanting it for a really long time, and my parents wouldn't sign the paper to let me go ahead and get it. They wanted me to wait till I was 18 to sign the paper myself to get it, to make sure that I really wanted it. So after dinner we went and got that pierced, and that really didn't hurt that much. I have a really high pain tolerance, so that's why I don't really want to go into the pain level, I guess, of each of them, because my pain tolerance is pretty high with piercings and tattoos. So I had my nose pierced. I was in high school when I got it pierced, and then I went into college, and I was a surgical tech, so I wasn't allowed to have any piercings in the operating room. So I had to take my nose piercing out when I was going in and out of the operating room, and one day I lost my piercing in my scrubs. So I was just like, whatever, it's a hassle to put it in and out, and it hurts, and it was getting really irritated and red from taking it in and out like 7 times a day. I really, really loved my nose piercing, but I went ahead and took it out and let it grow over or close up. I quit being a surgical tech, and I really wanted my nose piercing back. I don't advise this, but I actually re-pierced my nose myself. I took the second hole piercings, since they do it with a gun in your ear. It's a very sharp needle-like stud that they put through your ear, basically. So I took that and I re-pierced my nose with that because it has a very sharp end and it's not blunt. So that was the second time that I re-pierced my nose. So I don't remember why I took it out a second time, but I did, and I let it close up again, and I decided that I wanted it back again, but I wasn't going to go to the piercing place and pay, you know, $50 for them to re-pierce my nose when I knew I already did it once before, so I was like, I can just do it again. By this time, my scar tissue was insane, so thick, and when I went to re-pierce my nose, I could actually hear, like, the piece that I was piercing it with going through the scar tissue. It was the worst sound, and it was so painful. But I'm definitely keeping it now. I've knocked my nose piercing out several times, and I've had to go out and buy new ones, and that's the only problem that I've had with my nose piercing. After I had my nose pierced, I didn't get any piercings for quite a while, and my piercing that I got after my nose piercing was actually my belly button, and I don't have it anymore. I'm going to get it re-pierced because I've heard that after the first time, well, I guess I'll go into the story first because it won't make sense if I say it in that order. So, I went and got my belly button pierced. It really didn't hurt at all, and I have a really sensitive belly button to the point of where, like, if someone, this is so weird, but I hate it, like, it makes me gag almost. If someone sticks their finger in my belly button, it's just, like, really sensitive, and it just, I don't know, I hate it. So I was like, I never in my life am going to be able to get my belly button pierced, but I really wanted it done. So I went to the place, and I was talking to the piercer who I had pierced my nose, and we clicked a lot because he also was a surgical tech, and he's just really freaking cool. So I went back to him to get my belly button piercing done because I knew that he was super nice, and he was really caring and gentle and stuff like that. So I told him about the sensitivity in my belly button, and he said that basically the piercing wouldn't matter that much because it just wouldn't. And I kind of was like, okay, I guess. So I laid down on the table, he clamped it, let it sit for a couple minutes. The clamping kind of almost numbs it in a way. It helps with the pain a lot. And it was just a little painful. It wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be because the chunk that he takes to pierce is so thick. After I got it done, I was looking at it and I was like, wow, that he really took a big chunk of skin. Like, you couldn't see the piece in between the two balls. Like, he had so much skin that he pierced. So I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, it didn't look weird or anything. It looked normal. So I was like, okay, cool. So I rocked my belly button piercing for a couple months. And that one was definitely a pain in the ass to clean. My nose wasn't hard to clean at all. My belly button piercing was definitely a little bit tougher to clean because he had pierced so much skin. It was hard to move it up and down to get the H2 Ocean, which is what I use to clean all of my piercings. And it works really well, by the way. But it was really hard to get that in the piercing and move it around. So that was my only concern about that. About the summer after I got my piercing done, I got my piercing done kind of in the beginning of summer. About middle of summer, my boyfriend said that my skin across my bar was getting really thin, and because I saw it every day, I didn't even notice. So I looked it up online and scared the shit out of myself, basically, because there's horror stories about your body rejecting piercings. It's not as common with like a lip piercing, a nose piercing, ear piercings. It's more a piercing that just goes through a layer of skin. So mainly, the two main ones that reject are eyebrow piercings and belly button piercings. And basically, he said I couldn't really have done anything for it not to reject. My body just pushed it out. So my belly button piercing pushed to the surface, and I barely had any skin over the bar. So I took it out and let it heal, and that was like the saddest day ever because I loved my belly button piercing. But I'm basically letting it make sure that it heals completely. My hole, I can still fit an earring through it, so it hasn't closed up completely, but it's definitely pushed to the surface insanely close. So he said that the piercing was getting so close to the surface of my skin that if I wouldn't have taken it out and let it healed over, and I would have caught it on something, like a pool raft or a shirt, or anything, it would have ripped out, and I would have had a flap of skin basically hanging there. And I saw a bunch of photos on Google of girls that had that happen to them, because you don't notice that it's pushing out because you see it every day. So if you do get a belly button piercing and you have a boyfriend or something like that, take a picture of it when you first get it, and within like a month, compare it to that picture and make sure that it's not pushing to the surface, because that would be like my worst fear, is getting my belly button pierced again and it pushing to the surface and me not notice and it get caught on something and get ripped out basically. So thank God to my boyfriend who was paying attention and saved my belly button. The most current piercing that I have is my lip piercing, and I've had this for almost a year now. I got it about 6 to 8 weeks before we moved to Kansas. So it's going to be a year in October that we've been in Kansas. So almost a year. We're getting close. The bar that after they pierce your lip, they pierce your nose and your lip and your stomach with a needle. They don't pierce it with a gun because obviously you can't fit the gun in your nose and it's not good for it. It's less traumatic to pierce it with a needle than a gun. So after they pierced my lip, they put in a bar that basically is extra long, because I guess some people's lips swell up huge after they get their lips pierced. Mine didn't. Mine barely swelled at all. And I went back to the same guy who I got all of my other piercings through. So afterwards, I was sitting there talking to him, and I started feeling really lightheaded. So, he had me lay back down for a couple minutes, got me some water. When I sat back up, he was like, maybe your sugar's getting low. So he had a bag of candy, and we sat down and just kind of talked for a little bit because he didn't want me to get in my car and drive home and pass out on my way home. So we sat and we talked for a little bit, and he gave me like a miniature Reese's peanut butter cup, and I put it in my mouth, and when I started to try to chew, my lip piercing kept getting in the way. It kept sliding back and getting in between my two teeth, and I'd bite down on it. And first of all, my teeth are super sensitive, so it hurt a lot. And I just want to add in this. I am so bad at telling stories and trying to explain things, but let me add in that before I went and got my lip pierced, I went to my dentist and I talked to him about where the piercing was going to hit on my teeth, and if he thought that it would be okay for me to get my lip pierced, because I've heard that if your lip sits really low, then your piercing rides against your gum and it'll basically deteriorate your gum, or it'll like scratch the enamel off the tooth that it's hitting. So he kind of looked where my piercing was going to hit, marked it, looked at where it was going to hit on my mouth, and my gum line is super low already, and I guess I have a kind of high bottom lip. So my piercing basically barely hits the tip of my tooth. So he said that I was okay to do it, and I told him that also once it healed, I was going to get the acrylic piercing, which I'll talk about that in a minute. So back to me eating the candy. I was mentioning that it was really hard to eat, and he was like, well, yeah, you're going to have to basically reteach yourself, because when you eat, you suck in a little bit, and I didn't even notice that until after I got my lip pierced, but you have a suction going on in your mouth, and basically that bar that they put in after they pierce your lip is super long for swelling, but mine didn't swell, so it moved around a lot. So when I would eat, I would have that suction in my mouth, and the ball would be pressed against my lip, but the bar would stick out like this far. So I kept biting the bar, and I swear to God, I thought I chipped my tooth like at least 8 times within that 8 weeks. It was ridiculous, and it hurt so bad, and it was just horrible, basically, for the time that it was healing. The piercing didn't hurt at all. It wasn't sore afterwards. My lip didn't swell up, so I didn't have any actual problems with the piercing itself. Just the jewelry, basically. So after my 8 weeks, I went to Sally's Beauty Supply, or I know you can also get them at Spencer's Gifts if you have that in your mall, but I prefer the Sally's Beauty Supply one. Basically, it's an acrylic backing, so it's clear, and it goes through your lip, and then it has a hole in the front of it. Then you have your little jewelry piece that basically is on a post, and the post goes through the hole, and that's how it stays in your lip. even though this one, because it's not a long one, it's for after your lip has healed, it fits very snug on your lip, so it doesn't move around a lot, it doesn't hit your teeth, and it's not supposed to hit your gums. It's also supposed to be easier on your teeth. If it does hit them, it's not supposed to take your enamel off as fast, basically. So it's a softer material. I probably would say a month after I put my acrylic one in, I was out to dinner at Applebee's, and I was eating, and I actually ate the back of my piercing. Like, the whole acrylic piece. I accidentally bit it, and then so it popped off into my mouth, and I swallowed it with all of my food. And I didn't notice until I felt like something wiggling on the front, and it was just my jewelry piece was still barely in my hole. So I quit eating, and I kind of like held my piece in until I got home. Always keep a spare, even if it's just the little clear like space holder that you can buy for work. If people don't allow you to have the piercing, you can put the clear holder in your lip so it doesn't close up. Keep something with you, because I don't know if this is common, but with this lip piercing, since it doesn't screw on like the one that they give you after they pierce your lip, it does come off easier if you bite it. So that is my first piercing that I lost, so out of my lip. My second piercing that I lost was a couple weeks ago, and that was because this acrylic, basically I play with it a lot. I probably won't play with this one a lot because I didn't get the exact same one that I got before. This one fits way snugger to my lip, so I can't really twist it and turn it like I did previously with my other piercing. But because I did play with my other one a lot, and I would turn it when watching TV or play with it while on the computer, which isn't good for it. It can cause scarring even after it's healed. So it kind of got loose, like the post that goes into the acrylic piece. That acrylic piece got wide, so the post didn't fit in there snugly, so it didn't stay in there all the time. And the last couple days that I had it, I would barely brush against it, and the jewelry piece would fall out the front, but the acrylic piece would still be going through my lip. So I'd have to get on my hands and knees and look for this jewelry piece, and it is so small, it's ridiculous. So the first 4 times that I knocked it out, I was able to find it because I was in the room, and it would either fall out on my chest or in the bed, and it was easy to see. The other day I was out in the front yard, and I accidentally knocked it out, and it got lost in the driveway. So I had to put my metal one, because I had already eaten the first one that I bought, and it only came in a pack of 2, and then I lost the jewelry piece to the front one of my second one. So I had to put my metal one back in. Since I got so used to the acrylic one in my lip, when I put the metal one back in, it basically created like a canker sore around my piercing. So it was very painful to talk, for it to move or anything. So I went straight to Sally's the next available day that I had that I didn't have to work, and went and got a pack of 3 piercings, and I thought they were the same, but they're not, but it's okay for now. They still look about the same. I do notice that you can barely see it, so it's kind of like not even having your lip pierced, which I don't really like, but piercings are no refunds when you buy them, so this one will do for now until I get money, and then I'll go back and get some other ones. I actually saw a really cute one that was a flower, and I want to get that one. But those are my piercings and tattoo stories updated, basically. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as possible and with my best knowledge of how to answer your question. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye, guys!